Hi, this video is here to help you with identifying different parts of a circle. A circle is a shape that we often see in our everyday lives, and circles can be identified in everyday objects, such as some of the things that are shown on the screen, which include plates, coins, and even clocks. But why is it important that we can identify the different parts of a circle? Well, imagine you're designing a ring made to fit on a person's finger. You don't want the ring to be too big or too small, and you need to know the correct amount of material that's needed to make the ring. In order to do this, you would need to know the correct measurements of the ring. First of all, you might want to know what the distance around the edge of the ring measures. We call the distance around the edge of a circle the circumference. It can be measured in any unit of length, such as metres, centimetres, millimetres or inches. The circumference can be used to find what the length is of a circular object. Some children have been practicing measuring the circumference of different circles. Which of these pictures do you think shows a circumference being measured accurately? As the circumference is a distance all the way round the edge of the circle, only this circle has been measured accurately, as it shows that a measurement has been taken for the distance round the whole circle. All of the other circles have part of the circumference measurement missing. What if we had an accurate measurement of a fraction of the circumference of a circle? Would we then be able to work out the total circumference of the circle? Imagine the groundsman at a football club is marking out the centre circle in the middle of the pitch. So far, he's marked out half of the circumference of the circle. If 28.5 metres represents half of the circumference, what will the total circumference of the centre circle be when he has finished marking it out? Because we know that half of the circumference measures 28.5 metres, then if we multiply this measurement by 2, it will give us the full circumference of the centre circle. 28.5 metres times 2 equals 57 metres. Now let's think back to the ring that we were talking about at the start. If we were making this ring to fit a person's finger, there are some other important measurements that we may need to find. Before we can make any of those measurements, we would need to be able to find something called the centre point of the ring. We can mark the centre point of any circle with a point in the middle of the circle. The centre point of a circle is important because it is the only point in the circle that is the same distance from anywhere on the edge of the circle. Notice how the arrow doesn't change in length as it travels around the edge of the circle. This is because the distance from the centre point to the edge of the circle doesn't change. Do you think you can identify which of these circles has had the centre point marked correctly? Only this circle has the centre point marked correctly, as it's in the centre of the circle. None of the other circles have marked the centre point exactly in the centre of the circle. Now that we can identify the centre points, we can use that knowledge to help us find the next important part of a circle. This part is related to measurements, so it would be very useful when measuring our ring for size. If I draw a straight line from the centre point of the circle to any point on the edge of the circle, this is known as the radius of the circle. It doesn't matter how large or small our circle is, or which edge of the circle we draw our line to. As long as we draw our straight line directly from the centre point to the edge, then we will have marked the radius of the circle. If I use this ruler to measure the radius of our circle, you can see it measures 10 centimetres. This measurement will be the same no matter which edge of the circle we measure to. Let's think about our ring again for a moment. Imagine that we wanted to know a measurement that would allow us to make sure that the ring fitted perfectly around the person's finger. The measurement we need to use to find this out would be the diameter. The diameter is a distance across a circle from one edge to the other, passing through the centre point. The diameter of this ring is 20 millimetres. Look at the measurement for the radius of the same ring. Can you see any relationship between the radius and the diameter? Yes, the relationship between the radius and the diameter of a circle is that the diameter of a circle is 2 times greater than the radius. This means that if you know the radius of a circle, you can find the diameter by multiplying the radius by 2. 2 times the radius equals the diameter. Look at this circle with a radius of 5 centimetres, for example. When we double the radius of 5 centimetres, it makes a diameter which is 10 centimetres. Now it's your turn. Can you work out the diameter of these circles using only the radius measurement to help you? Here's a top tip. Remember, to help, you could use a formula for working out the diameter using the radius. 2 times the radius equals the diameter, or 2r equals d. Here are the answers. How did you get on? If multiplying the radius by 2 gives us a diameter, is there any related fact that would help us to find out the radius of a circle if we only had the diameter measurement? Look at the wheel of this toy car. It has a diameter of 700 millimetres. How could we calculate the radius of the wheel? That's right. We could find the radius by dividing the diameter by 2 or halving it. 700 divided by 2 equals 350 millimetres, so the wheel has a radius of 350 millimetres. Now it's your turn. Can you work out the missing measurements on these objects using what you've learnt about circumference and the relationship between radius and diameter? Remember to use the top tips on the screen. 2 times the radius equals diameter, 2r equals d. And radius equals diameter divided by 2. R equals d over 2. Here are the answers. The diameter of the clock is 0.24 metres. The circumference of the coin is 2.5 millimetres. The radius of the ring is 9.5 millimetres. The radius of the plate is 45 centimetres. The diameter of the wheel is 91.2 centimetres. Now let's see if we can use what you've learnt to solve a problem that uses your knowledge of parts of a circle. A tree trunk has 3 concentric rings. The radius of the smallest ring is 4 centimetres. The gap between each of the remaining rings is 55 millimetres. What is the diameter of the largest ring? Show how you know. See if this top tip can help you to solve the problem. Concentric circles are circles with a common centre. Here is the answer. The smallest ring will have a diameter of 8 centimetres. Remember that 2 times the radius equals the diameter. So when the radius, 4 centimetres, is multiplied by 2, we get an answer of 8 centimetres. There are 4 gaps left, each measuring 55 millimetres. We can find the total measurement of the gaps by using multiplication. 55 millimetres times 4 equals 220 millimetres. 220 millimetres is equal to 22 centimetres. So the total length of the gaps is 22 centimetres. If we now add together the total of the gaps and the diameter of the smallest ring, this equals a total diameter of 30 centimetres for the largest ring. 22 centimetres plus 8 centimetres equals 30 centimetres. I hope this video helped you with identifying different parts of a circle. If you're looking for more maths help, then we've got lots more of these videos on the Twinkl website, so why not go and take a look?